The modern built environment is engineered to the exact millimeter. Yet, highly rational, multi-million-dollar real estate and development industries regularly alter their structural designs to physically erase a specific integer from existence. The Otis Elevator Company, one of the world's oldest and largest elevator manufacturers, has historically reported that up to 90% of the panels it installs in skyscrapers, luxury condominiums, and hotels entirely lack a 13 button. Global commercial airlines navigate the exact same logistics. Major carriers frequently omit the 13th row of seats in their aircraft cabins entirely, recognizing that the inherent stress of commercial flying increases if an anxious passenger is seated in a row culturally coded as doomed. These architectural and operational workarounds have absolutely zero basis in structural safety or physics. The actual spatial location of the 13th floor or row still physically exists. Real estate developers and aviation executives simply execute these omissions as pragmatic capitulations to a profound collective psychological superstition. To understand why a number commands this level of behavioral avoidance, we have to look at how the human brain processes information. Psychologists point to the felt sense of anomaly. Human cognition is evolutionarily hardwired to fiercely favor symmetry and familiarity. In advanced number theory, the number 12 holds a highly prestigious status as a superior highly composite number. This means it possesses more divisors than any smaller positive integer relative to its size. 12 can be cleanly and symmetrically divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and itself. Because it is so fluidly divisible, early human civilizations inherently recognized 12's utility and utilized it to construct our foundational stills of temporal and physical organization. There are 12 hours on a clock face, 12 months in a Gregorian year, and 360 degrees in geometric space, which is 12 times 30. 12 represents absolute mathematical harmony, societal completion, and the safe predictability of human-built systems. Because our neurological architecture inherently favors the familiar, any integer that abruptly disrupts this comforting rhythm triggers an acute sense of cognitive discomfort. 13 is a prime number. It is notoriously stubborn, divisible only by 1 and itself. When a 13th element is introduced into a perfectly balanced system of 12, it violently shatters the mathematical symmetry. You cannot divide 13 items into halves, thirds, quarters, or sixths. Mathematical historians theorize that early human civilizations practically experienced this structural friction. The literal inability to share or ration a 13-part agricultural yield without an awkward remainder led them to label the number as difficult, wayward, and eventually unlucky. Over centuries, this latent mathematical discomfort was validated and permanently cemented by early Christian theology. According to the New Testament, Jesus shared the Last Supper with his 12 apostles. Judas Iscariot, the betrayer, is historically designated by theologians as the 13th guest to take his seat at the table. Running parallel to this is a highly influential pre-Christian Norse myth. The Prose Eddas describe a grand, harmonious banquet in Valhalla for 12 primary gods. The peace was violently shattered by the arrival of an uninvited 13th guest, Loki, the trickster god, whose arrival directly precipitated the death of the beloved god of light and initiated a period of cosmic mourning. As these distinct cultural narratives and religious doctrines merged across Europe, society actively weaponized them. People utilized these profound mythological tragedies to logically validate and enforce the irrational cognitive discomfort they already felt about an indivisible prime number. The most incontrovertible evidence that 13 harbors no inherent negative properties lies geographically outside the Anglo-American cultural sphere. In ancient Egyptian religious doctrine, the perilous journey of the soul through the underworld involved 12 harrowing stages. The 13th stage represented spiritual rebirth, the conquest of mortality, and the glorious ascension of the soul into eternal life. In Italy, the cultural meaning inverts completely. The popular phrase fare 13, to make 13, means to hit the jackpot. This affection is deeply tied to Catholic devotional practice surrounding St. Anthony of Padua, whose official feast day is joyously observed on June 13th. This map shows the global divergence of numerical superstitions. While the West systematically avoids 13, East and Southeast Asian regions exhibit tetraphobia, an intense, paralyzing fear of the number 4. In Sino-Tibetan languages, the phonetic pronunciation of the word for is nearly identical to the word for death. The root of their massive cultural fear is completely linguistic, proving these superstitions are highly localized constructs. In evolutionary biology, the prime nature of 13 acts as a highly sophisticated survival mechanism. The North American periodical cicada spends its life underground, emerging to mate in massive, overwhelming broods only once every 13 or 17 years. Operating strictly on these prime number cycles guarantees their emergence almost never mathematically synchronizes with the cyclical population booms of their predators. In the biological realm, 13 is a life-saving shield against predation. Across human cultures, it is the zenith of spiritual transformation and the ultimate expression of the jackpot. Numbers themselves possess no frequency or maleficence. They are empty, utilitarian vessels into which humanity pours its linguistic quirks, biological realities, and cultural mythologies. If the number is empirically the 9, why does the specific, acute fear of Friday the 13th, formerly classified as triskaidekaphobia, persist so robustly among highly educated, secular individuals in the 21st century? Superstitions are active byproducts of how the human brain assesses risk. We rely on the availability heuristic and confirmation bias, mental shortcuts where we judge the probability of an event based on how easily specific examples come to mind. If you hold a latent cultural belief that a day is unlucky, your brain hyper-focuses its threat detection system on minor negative events, like losing your keys, while entirely ignoring the statistical normality of the rest of the day. Deep neurobiological studies utilizing EEG brainwave measurements have shown exactly how non-religious individuals interact with conformity pressures. Even people who harbor no spiritual beliefs will often report avoiding a 13th floor hotel room. However, their neural responses show they aren't yielding to terror at a cognitive level. They are simply participating in a low-cost, shared ritual of social conformity. Human cognition relies on narrative to navigate the world. When an original historical cause is lost to time, our brains spontaneously invent meta-folklore, new, plausible stories to explain and justify the tradition. A viral myth heavily popularized by a modern fiction novel claimed Friday the 13th originated from the historical execution of the Knights Templar in 1307. Academic historians reject this as the definitive origin, but the public absorbed the Templar narrative because it provided a satisfying explanation for an ambient cultural anxiety. Maintaining a minor superstition requires minimal intellectual or financial energy. If the ancient lore is false, skipping a row on an airplane costs you nothing. If it happens to be inexplicably true, skipping it prevents unimaginable disaster. We conform to these rituals to exert a fleeting modicum of control over a chaotic world. The reputation of 13 is the result of a compounding historical chain reaction. It began with the structural disruption of an indivisible prime number, was codified by tragic religious and mythological parables, and was securely locked into our modern behavior by the rigid, selective mechanisms of human cognitive bias. Triskaidekaphobia has survived the Enlightenment and the digital age, demonstrating the sheer weight of inherited narrative over empirical fact. In our relentless attempt to control the uncontrollable forces of chance and fate, we rely desperately on storytelling. We actively assign blame to invisible mechanisms, turning abstract, innocent integers into reliable scapegoats to carry the weight of our random misfortunes. The number 13 is not universally feared because of objective truth. It is feared because humanity constructed a narrative powerful enough to outlast centuries of scientific progress.